It's a landscape that's existed since time immemorial. But soon there could be a dramatic change in how the lands of the Comox First Nation are governed. After 30 years of negotiations, a treaty to allow for self-governance is just steps away from becoming a reality.
It's an important day coming up. If the ratification is positive, then it's a starting point for a new way of doing things.
This Saturday, the nation's 334 members will have their say on whether to proceed with the current terms of the treaty.
We would take on a self-governing role. We would have our own Comox Constitution that replaces the Indian Act as our governing document, and we would have ownership over the lands that have been negotiated in the treaty.
But there's a push to stop that vote from happening at all. This morning, the Liǧwiłdax hereditary chiefs representing the Liǧwiłdax, the Liǧwiłdax, and the Liģwiāka First Nations arrived at the Victoria Courthouse to support a court injunction that would halt the process. Liģwiāka elected Chief Chris Roberts and community matriarch Nancy Henderson filed the injunction trying to prohibit the Comox First Nation from holding its treaty ratification vote. The documents filed raise questions about who should be allowed to vote in the ratification. It also opposes the transfer of the Salmon River Reserve in Sayward as part of the current treaty process. The hereditary chiefs allege the Comox First Nation is attempting to rewrite history and lay claim to the Liģw-Withāku lands and resources. The Comox Nation says its plan is to share the rights of the area with surrounding nations and not claim it just for itself.
The Comox Treaty does not impact the rights of others. That's clearly spelled out in the treaty. And if for any reason we find that another nation's rights are affected, adversely affected, there is remedies in place, such as amending provisions in the treaty.
BC Indigenous Relations Minister says her office wants to work with all nations involved.
Treaties are one way that the province advances reconciliation with nations, and we're committed to continuing to work both with Comox and neighboring communities on keeping that work moving forward.
None of the hereditary chiefs at the courthouse were able to speak with us by deadline. As the injunction hearing carries on, it's unclear what, if any, impact it will have on Saturday's vote.